Hi guys, and welcome back. Today's project, I'm replacing the taillight on my trailer. To get started, we need a few basic tools. A pair of needle nose pliers, a wire stripper. It's not necessary, you can use the pliers for that, but I like using the stripper. We have a multimeter. If there's any wiring problems, we want to be able to check them out. And more than likely, if your wiring is okay on the trailer already, all you'll need is a test light. I have one over here, just to make sure that you have power going to the lights. Next, we need a tape to connect the wires together. And I have this heat shrink. I'll show you how to use that a little later on. It's something to melt that heat shrink down. Next, we'll need a socket or a wrench to disassemble the light from the trailer and reapply the new light. Next, you'll need the light itself. We're changing the light on the left side. And this is what I have here. You'll need a power source to make sure that the lights work. If you have it hooked up to your car, to your trailer, you won't need this, but I'm out in the field, so I have this power source to make sure that the lights will work. And most important of all, you'll need this bucket. This is where the bulk of the work will be done from. Now, before I connect the new light, I'm going to check two things out first. One, that the new light does work, and second, that the wiring in the trailer is okay, that I have continuity going all the way through, that there's no breaks and shorts. To do that, I'm going to use that power source, connect it to the terminal here on this end, and just using two jumper wires, the positive to the negative. The first thing is we'll check this light, connect to the ground, and simply touch each wire with the positive. Turn the power on. Okay, that works. Check the other light. A simple test like this could save a lot of aggravation. Doesn't happen often, but you can buy lights that are defective. Now that we know the light works, we'll disassemble the broken light. Should have did this first. There's only two bolts that hold it on. It's very convenient to get to. Once we get these two nuts and bolts off, the whole assembly comes right apart. We're going to use the same bracket to put the new light on. Just have to get this tape off and cut the wire. You can see that this light wasn't an original light either. These wires were crimped together. Just getting the pliers to cut this wire with. Just snip it off here. The other. Now to strip back this insulation on the two wires. As I mentioned before, you can use the needle nose pliers for this. But I like using the wire cutter. Cuts it to the right size. You don't have to worry about cutting into the wire itself. It just makes a quick job of it. The next step is to connect the power to the wire to make sure there's current running all the way to these taillights. Hook up the ground. Check the wire. Nothing. Maybe I connected it to the wrong pin. Let me check it again. Still nothing. The ground's on okay. Alright, it's not the ground. I'm going to check the wires in the front of the trailer to see if there's a break. And what I found was that the ground wire was disconnected, so we didn't have a full current. With that ground wire connected, this should work. Okay, we're good. There's current going all the way through this wire. Now I'm going to go back and change the power source to the other wire, and this should work also. Okay, this other wire also works. And the next step is to connect the light. Now, as I mentioned before, we're going to use the same license plate bracket. Don't want to forget to put that on. And this light comes with its own nuts and bolts. This is easy enough to put together. On the back of the light there's two slots where the bolts just slide into. Then from there you slide it into the license plate bracket and mount it onto the trailer. You want to make sure that you have this ground wire connected right to this frame. The wire had an eye bolt on it, and now you have the two remaining wires to connect. The best way to connect these is to solder them, but this isn't going into water, so I'm just going to splice them together and use the tape. And I have this heat shrink. Before you splice them together, you want to slide this heat shrink onto the wire. Once you slide the heat shrink onto the wire, simply splice it together. Get it good and tight. Thicker wires you would use a pair of pliers, but these wires are very thin. Now tape it together. Once it's taped, go to the other wire. Don't forget the heat shrink. Now connect and tape this wire together. Before I melt that heat shrink, I'm going to check to make sure that the light works. We checked it already, it should work. This is just an extra precaution. I want to put it all together and then have to take it all apart. Okay, connected to one pin, that light works. Now we'll connect to the other pin, and this light works also. Now slide the heat shrink over the tape and just melt it with a lighter. This will help waterproof it. Once both wires are done, I'm going to tuck it behind the light, clean up, and we're ready to go. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, let me know by liking it, passing it along, leaving a comment, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe. And until next time, stay safe.